It's the middle of the night, and I'm staring at a glowing radar screen. Green lines, steady blips, the heartbeat of the sky. Then, without warning, a single blip vanishes. No alarm. No warning. No distress call. Just gone. That blip was Malaysia Airlines Flight MH370, carrying 239 souls. And in the hours that followed, I would learn a truth that still chills me to this day: planes don't just disappear. People don't just vanish. Not in 2014. Not with satellites, military radars, and constant communication. But MH370 did. And for 10 years, I've lived with the question: how does a plane vanish into thin air? Kuala Lumpur International Airport, March 8, 2014. I remember the way the terminal hummed with that familiar late-night energy, half excitement, half exhaustion. Families huddled near departure gates, solo travelers scrolling through their phones, the low crackle of PA announcements echoing across the tiled floors. At Gate C1, 227 passengers and 12 crew prepared to board Malaysia Airlines Flight MH370. A Boeing 777, sleek, powerful, and safe. The kind of plane pilots trusted with their lives every day. Captain Zahari Ahmad Shah, 53 years old, veteran pilot with 18,000 flight hours, greeted his co-pilot, Farik Abdul Hamid, just 27 and on his first 777 training flight without a supervisor. I imagine Zahari patting the young man on the shoulder. "Tonight, you fly. I'll watch." In the waiting area, a young couple from Beijing argued softly about who had the boarding passes. A businessman in a gray suit tapped nervously at his laptop, sending one last email. Two children clutched plush toys, yawning, unaware they'd never see another dawn. I try not to linger too long on these faces, but when you've spent a decade thinking about this flight, the faces never leave. At 12:41 a.m., the Boeing 777 lifted off into the humid Malaysian night. Inside, flight attendants wheeled carts down the aisles, serving water and juice. Seatbelts clicked open. The cabin buzzed with quiet conversations. I picture the businessman closing his laptop, stretching, thinking about the meeting he'd attend in Beijing. The children snuggled under airline blankets. A mother adjusted her daughter's hair, whispering a lullaby. And up front, the cockpit hummed with routine. Radios clicked. Switches flipped. Every pilot will tell you, takeoff is tense, but once you're cruising, you breathe. At 1:19 a.m., over the South China Sea, Malaysian air traffic controllers radioed. "Good night, Malaysian 370. The captain replied with the last confirmed words ever heard from the flight. "Good night, Malaysian 370. Minutes later, MH370 crossed into Vietnamese airspace. Then, silence. No distress signal. No transponder. No radio. The blip that was MH370 vanished from civilian radar. I've stared at those radar logs 1,000 times. One moment, the plane is right there. The next, it's not. But it didn't crash into the sea right away. Military radar, information hidden for days, showed MH370 turning sharply left, cutting back across Malaysia, flying west. Like a phantom. And inside that plane, 239 people, unaware, or maybe too aware, that something was very wrong. Imagine the cabin. Passengers dozing. A flight attendant checking her watch. The hum of engines steady as ever. Then a ripple, oxygen masks. No. Darkness? Maybe. The plane banks sharply. Drink spill. A child cries. Confusion spreads like fire. A man leans into the aisle, his voice sharp. What's happening? Flight attendants hurry, but do they know? Did the cockpit warn them? Or were they just as blind to the sudden detour? In the cockpit, I imagine Zahari silent, focused. His young co-pilot glancing at him nervously. "Captain, where are we going?" No answer. By morning, families in Beijing crowded the arrival gate. They watched the clock tick past landing time. They craned their necks for announcements. None came. Hours passed before officials admitted it: the flight was missing. Missing. And the world erupted. Search planes, ships, satellites, thousands combed the South China Sea. But nothing. Not a seat cushion. Not a shred of metal. Nothing. MH370 had disappeared like smoke. I've read every theory. Every page. Every whisper on late-night forums. 1. Mechanical failure. Could a fire or depressurization have knocked out communication, leaving the plane ghost flying on autopilot? Possible. But why the sharp turns? Why fly for hours after radio silence? 2. Hijacking. 2 Iranian men with stolen passports were on board. At first, suspicion burned hot. But they were seeking asylum, no evidence of terrorism. 3. Pilot suicide. Some believe Captain Zahari deliberately flew MH370 into oblivion. His home flight simulator contained a practice route eerily similar to the flight path. But others swear he was loyal, professional, incapable of this. 4. Military shootdown. Whispers that a nearby government accidentally shot down MH370, then covered it up. No evidence, yet the secrecy of radar data fuels this fire. 5. Cyber hijack. Hackers taking control remotely. Science fiction? Maybe not. Some aviation experts argue the 777 systems are more vulnerable than we'd like to admit. And through it all, the silence of 239 souls. For years, nothing surfaced. Then, in 2015, a flaperon, part of the wing, washed ashore on Réunion Island. Later, fragments appeared in Madagascar, Mozambique, and Tanzania. Proof. The plane had gone south. Deep into the Indian Ocean. But where? The ocean is vast, cruel, and secretive. The search zone spanned tens of thousands of miles. Billions were spent. Submarines scoured the sea floor. Nothing. A Boeing 777, one of the safest planes in the sky, swallowed whole. What happened in those last hours before fuel ran dry? I close my eyes and see it. The cabin quiet. Darkness. Some passengers asleep, some restless. A father holds his daughter tighter. A woman whispers a prayer. Flight attendants glance nervously at each other but keep smiles plastered on their faces. And in the cockpit, did Zahari fight to regain control? Or was he the one holding the course steady, hand resting on the yoke, eyes fixed on the endless night? At 8:19 a.m., hours after disappearing, a final automated handshake pinged the satellite. Then silence. Forever. The cruelest part of MH370 isn't the theories. It's the waiting. In Beijing, in Kuala Lumpur, in Paris, families still hold photos. Still light candles. Still whisper, "Come home." Some refuse to believe the plane is gone. Some insist their loved ones are alive, hidden somewhere. And who can blame them? Closure is impossible without truth. Now, 10 years on, whispers of new evidence resurface. Advanced sonar scans, fresh debris analysis, even AI satellite reprocessing. Some claim the wreckage lies in a remote trench, overlooked by earlier searches. The mystery still breathes. The mystery still breathes. And so does the pain. Because MH370 isn't just about aviation. It's about the fragility of certainty. The way 239 people can board a plane, and the world can still shrug its shoulders a decade later. As I finish this story, I think of the radar screen. That single blip, gone forever. Some nights, I still imagine what those last minutes felt like. Was there panic? Was there calm? Did the passengers know the world would search for them for years? The truth may still be out there, buried in the deep. But until it's found, MH370 remains the greatest aviation mystery of our time. And every time I board a flight, I whisper a silent promise to those 239 souls: you are not forgotten.